to today's mathematical literacy lesson. My name is Bernard Donko, and this lesson is brought to you by the Northern Cape Department of Education in collaboration with Pagama Research and Development. So, this is the next lesson in our series of our revisions towards examination. I hope and trust by this time you have done a lot of work, and I know you are going to do so well in the prelim and the final. I have full confidence in you. So let's get going for today's lesson. So today we want to look at interest and banking. What are we looking at? Interest and banking. And some of the things that I hope by the end of the lesson you will be able to get is that, one, you should be able to distinguish between interest rate and interest values. There's a difference between the two. There's a distinction. As time goes on, I will try to explain to you so you understand much better, in case you don't know it by now. You have to be able to investigate through calculations using interest rate values. You have to be able to perform simple interest and compound interest calculations manually. We are not using calculators. Of course, we use calculators, but we are not using the formulas because we believe that when you do it manually, you can see even where you made an error and then you fix it so that you can get as many marks as possible. You have to be able to interpret and use tables showing compound interest values. In some cases, you have to also try and get yourself ready that you will be asked to represent simple interest and compound interest growth on a chart, on a graph. You have to be able to also investigate the following. Hire purchase, what is it? I hope by now you know. If you don't know, it's fine. I'm sure we are going to go through it together and you will be fine there. You have to also look at other investments. So some of the things by now you have to know with regards to this lesson is that you have to have an idea of loans and how to calculate loan values. You have to be able to know this time, because you are in grade 12 already. When we say simple interest, what is it? You have to know the explanation to a lender, a borrower, interest rate, investment. All these ones, we can ask you in the examination. So you have to get yourself prepared. So let's get going. I have some few questions that I want you to try it. And then from there, we'll be able to continue with our lesson. So the first one says, study the two options above and answer the questions that follow. Can we pause for a second, my learners? We'll come back quickly to answer that question. Welcome, my learners. Let's look at our questions again. The first one says, study the two options above and answer the questions that follow. In this case, alongside, because we had to shift the images. So we have the first image, which is talking about the octotal carry-on. Then the second image for this bag is American Tourister. But the key point that I wanted you to look at is question number one. It says, write out the acronym VAT. My learners, by this time you know that means value added tax. Can you say it after me? Value added tax. Do it then, we'll give you 2 marks. You know, we're getting somewhere. How about the second one? It says calculate the total VAT charged on the American Tourister. Where is the American Tourister? Is it the first one or the second one? The second one there, American Tourister. But what information do we need in order for us to answer this question? Look closely. They said the price is 1,999 Rand, but look at what is written inside the bracket. This is VAT exclusive, exclusive. There's no VAT there. Exclusive, there's no VAT. So they want us to find out how much VAT we have to add on to that. So you see, what you do, you take 15%, as in 15 over 100, you times it by 1,999. You can even decide, some learners prefer to write 1,999 times 15 over 100. It will not change the answer. It will still be the same. The key is that you are able to use it correctly. Let's look at the next point. When we have 15 over 100 times 1,999, we get to have 299 Rand and 85 cents. I hope you got that correct. For that reason, let's look at 1.3. It says write the scale in words for the octotile carry on. Which one is the octotile? This one. They said write the scale. So you see, as we go, we pick the key points. Here is the scale. They said 1:50. Almost all your questions that you're going to face in paper 2, it is very likely that we ask you to explain the meaning of the scale. So what should you be writing? 1 unit on the plan represents 50 units in reality. I hope you got that correct. Well done. Okay, so let's look at the question number 1.4. It says determine the number of wheels on the American Tourister. This one. How many wheels are there? 4. But this was a past paper where we even accepted 8 because some of the wheels are 2. So we consider that some learners can say it's 8, others can say it's 4. But in either case, whether you write the 4 or 8, we'll give to you. Here, because we are talking of interest and banking, there are some few words that you have to get yourself familiar with, like account balance. I'm not going to explain all of them here. Where you do not know and you don't understand, please put your hand up, ask your teacher to pause so that you can write it down. That way you save a bit of time. When you are on your own also, you are able to revise. Hire purchase, interest. You have to know how to explain these things because they will help you a lot. Because remember, whether it's paper 1 or paper 2, we will be asking you to explain or define at least 2 or 3 words that is related to the topic that you are dealing with. So issues like interest rate, you have to know what it is. What is to invest? What is an investment? What is an interest value? These are things that we are hoping by this time you should be fine. So now, the thing is, when you want to work with interest, what are some of the key things? What are some of the tips that you need? You have to know what is interest. So I've just written something here that interest is the money paid regularly at a particular rate for the use or loan of money. Or even if you don't want to write it this way, you can say interest is the extra money. Interest is what? The extra money that you pay for using somebody else's money, or the extra money that you receive from an investment. When you write this one, there is no examiner who is going to mark you wrong because they get the idea of the keyword extra. Interest is the extra money that you receive or you pay. And then the interest rate, that is the percentage, the one which makes us decide whether it is going to be 100 Rand or not. So interest rate can be like 15%, can be like 20%, 10%. Those are interest rate. And then we have what? Interest value, meaning when you use that interest rate to get the actual amount, that actual amount is what we call interest value. So for today's lesson, we want to look at the first 2 points, which is simple interest and compound interest. Meaning interest can either be on simple or can be on compound. So let's go a bit further then. For us to calculate with simple interest, there are some few things that we have to understand. With that simple interest, we always calculate based on the original amount. We are not talking of the amount which is in the account now. We calculate it based on the original amount. Those must be your keywords, original amount. So whenever we ask you in examination, we expect you to use this word so that, when we are marking, yeah, this one knows what they are writing. Simple interest is calculated on the original amount. Compound interest is calculated on the amount which is in the account. The keywords that we use there is the accumulated amount, meaning whatever you have now. Let's say the amount was 1,000 Rand, the interest is 100 Rand. So in the account, there's now 1,100 Rand. That is where we calculate compound interest on. So I hope you get the difference between the two. So with simple interest, if you want to calculate it, you have to calculate the total interest or interest value. Then you add it to the final amount. Compound interest, you calculate based on what is in the account. So let's look at some few examples. There we have Adrian. He won a lot of money, 4 million. I think some of you, if you can win 4 million, you're never going to attend this class. You say, teacher, bye-bye. I'll see you when I see you. So Adrian won 4 million in a lottery. So he decided to invest 15% of that 4 million for a period of 3 years. Interest rate, 10%. But what kind of interest rate? Simple interest. So my question to you is, find out the money that you receive at the end of the investment, meaning at the end of 3 years, how much money will Adrian get? So this is how I wanted you to approach it. Or when you find such a question, this is how I want you to do it. Can you see I've written 15%? Somebody can even say 15 over 100. That is still fine. 15% of 4 million, that is 600,000. That is your starting point. Adrian did not invest all the 4 million. He invested only 600,000. Thank you. So what should be the next one? Look at this point. We have the 10% of 600,000. Where is the 10% coming from? That is the interest rate that the bank or the financial institution is giving to Adrian. So it means that every year, the interest rate is going to be giving us an interest value of 60,000. See, Metlet is nice. If you can get this money, you are going to eat nice. So now, how long did Adrian decide to invest? For 3 years. That's why I'm multiplying by 3 years. So take your calculator. I want you to press. I know you can do this one. Just press 60,000 times 3. 60,000 times 3. My calculator says 180,000. Did you get that? 180,000. That is good. Let's look at the total amount we are going to get now. How much did Adrian start with? He started with 600,000. He has left the money there for 3 years. So he got interest of 180,000. So when we add the 180,000 to the 600,000, how much are we going to get in total? You guessed it. 780,000. Okay. How about compound interest? Remember, I told you earlier that compound interest is charged on the amount due, meaning the amount in the account now, not the one that you started with. If you can go back to what we did now, can you see? We said 60,000 times 3, meaning year 1 is 60,000 because it's on simple interest. Year 2, 60,000. I hope you are there with me. Year 3 is also 60,000. So we put all together, that is how we got 180,000. But with compound interest, it doesn't work like that. You take the amount which is actually in the account. So let's look at something. Can you see on here, on my left, when you see annually, meaning you get the interest once, the whole year. When you see half yearly, meaning you're going to get the interest 2 times. How does that work? January to June, they give you interest. July to December, you get another interest. So you get it 2 times. All right. Just like that for quarterly, you get it 4 times. Quarterly, term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4. That's what we call quarters, quarterly. And then monthly, biennially. That biennially means every 2 years, once, every 2 years. So if you get it in 2024, you don't get in 2025. You get again in 2026. That's what we call biennially. Then what do you do? I've shown you how to divide. Can you see here? You are getting it 2 times in a year. So even the interest, we are going to divide it by 2 so that we know the first 6 months, how much interest are you going to get? And then the other 6 months. Now, let's look at the next question this year. We want to use the same idea of the 600,000, which Adrian is deciding to invest. Can you see here? The interest rate for the whole year was 10%, compounded annually. But what we are trying to do here is where we want to see, look at here, 5% of 4 million. What do we get? 600,000. I will explain to you as we go. So look at my left side. We've got year 1. My principal amount, the money that I actually started, the money that Adrian started with is what? 600,000. Then he's going to get interest of 10%. So 10% of 600,000, I hope you have worked it out already. This is the 600,000 plus the 60,000 for year 1. That's why you see me writing 660,000. How about year 2? We don't go back to 600,000 anymore. We now use the 660,000, which is in the account. That's why I'm starting with 660,000. Then now I must calculate 10% of their 660,000. So when I add everything, what I want you to do is that when you find such questions, press all of it. Press all of it. Don't go bit by bit, because sometimes overpressing will end up making you make a lot of mistakes, which we are trying to avoid. So you press 660,000. Let's do it together. 660,000 plus 10 divided by 100 times 660,000. And my calculator said I'm going to get 726,000. Well done if you got it. So now we are going to year 3. We use the same approach. Can you see 726,000 is already on your calculator? So you start from there. You just say 726,000 plus 10 over 100 times 726,000. You press and get your answer. Then we are going to get 798,000. Thank you. Now, we have Tammy. This time he invested 20,000. Interest is 10%, compounded half yearly. Half yearly. Meaning that the interest is going to be divided into 2. He doesn't get all the 10%. He gets half of 10%. And this is going to be left there for 2 years. So how many calculations are we going to get? We are going to get 4 calculations. 2 for year 1, 2 for year 2. So this is how you're supposed to do it. The interest rate, can you see I've shown you there that you have to divide it by 2 because the investment is all compounded half yearly. Then step 2, we're going to have 4 calculations, 4 halves, because it's 2 years. It's January to June, that's 1. July to December, that's another one for year 1. Then year 2, also January to June, July to December. So let's look at the calculations. I've done it for you so you can see. So you see the first half year, this is our 20,000. We find 5% of 20,000, which will give us 1,000 rand. Then we add the 1,000 rand to the 20,000, that will give us 21,000. When we are going to second half year, meaning from July to December, we don't take 20,000 anymore. Now we are going to take 21,000. I hope you get the idea. So the 21,000, we find also 5%. If you are not sure, ask your teachers, ask them to pause the video so that you can look at it closely. Try it, press with the calculator, and you will see that you are going to get things correct. You don't just watch the video and you don't practice. This is mathematical literacy. We want you to be involved. You have to participate. That's how you're going to become better. So we have first half year, second half year, third half year, fourth half year. You do all of them. In the end, you're going to get 24,310 rand and 13 cents. This time, Adrian decided to borrow 13,000. The cousin charged 5.5% still on simple interest per annum. So we want to know how much will Adrian owe after 5 years. This is how you're supposed to do it. Can you see we did not divide the 5.5% into 2 because they said per annum. It's for the whole year. Therefore, we take the 5.5 over 100 times it by 13,000, which is 715 rand after 1 year. So what do we do then? We are going to take 715, we times it by 5 years. Why are we multiplying? Because it's simple interest. The interest rate is going to stay the same. The interest rate, that's what? Stays the same. That's why we don't need to go year 1, year 2, year 3. We only do that for compound interest. Simple interest, you calculate the first one. From there, you multiply by the number of time periods you have. So the amount that Adrian is going to owe after 5 years is going to be the 13,000, which he borrowed, plus the 3,575, which he is supposed to pay back. All in all, then we're going to add 13,000. I want you to do it with me. 13,000 plus 3,575. That should give us 16,575 rand. I hope you got that correct. So now let's look at exam type questions. Here we have the same value, but this time is for 6 years. So let's check. For 6 years, how should we do it? Just like the same approach. Remember, the key point is that we are still working with simple interest. So what I'm saying to you is that with simple interest, you calculate it 1 year, and from there you multiply it by the number of years. So remember, in our previous calculation, our interest that Adrian is owing is 715 rand. So what should we do with the 715? Good. We are going to multiply it by 6. So look at what I have done. 715 times 6, then we write the amount. So we want to know after 6 years, how much will Adrian owe? What should we do? Yes, that learner there, the one who is in front, that girl. Oh, yeah. So it's going to be that 13,000 plus 4,290. Press with me. Let's go. 13,000 plus 4,290. That will give me my answer here. What's yours? Is it the same like mine? 17,290. Well done. Well done. We are getting somewhere. Let's look at another question. Jongi, this time invested 25,000. 25K. That's a lot of money. What is the interest? 12%. So when you get the question paper, I need you to highlight these values. There's 25,000, which is our principal amount. Our interest we are going to get is 12%. But how? It is compounded half yearly. If it is half yearly, how many times are we going to get the interest rate in the year? Yeah, no, that learner there in the middle. Yes, twice. We are going to get it 2 times. So look at what I have done here. Can you see my 12%? I'm dividing it by 2 because I'm going to get first half year, second half year. So divide by 2 meaning I'm going to be working with 6%. Then N, the number of years, I'm going to have 2 halves for each year, meaning January to June is 1, July to December is another 1. So first half year, can you see how much do I have there? We are going to have the 25,000 for the first half year. Then we do the calculation, and I hope that you are working with me. So I want you to press 6 over 100 times 25,000. Tell me what you are going to get. I've already given you the answer, but I want to be sure that you are pressing the correct thing. So press 6 over 100 times 25,000. Let's go. 6 divided by 100 multiply by 25,000. Okay, I got 1,500. Did you get that? Sharp. Well done. So we have to add that 1,500 to the 25,000. So just say plus 25,000. What did you get? I got 26,500. There it is. So now it's your turn. I want you to do the second one. It is there already, but I want you to try it. I'm giving you only 3 minutes. It shouldn't be long. Okay, so let's continue. Right. So now we have the 26,500. So we find 6%. That should give us 1,590. And then we add that 1,590 to this 26,500. All in all, we are going to get 28,090 rand. Okay. Look at the question. We now go back. It says, calculate how much more he will receive at the end of the investment. So how much money do we have now? We have got 28,090. How much money did we start with? We started with 25,000. So we want to see, we subtract the 2. How much more? So we are going to get 3,090 rand in interest. Well done, my learners. Now, let's look at the next point. Question 1.2. Bambo applied for a loan to the amount of 220,000 to complete a building project. She approached 2 loan institutions. Institution 1 said, no, we are going to give you interest rate of the loan at 10% per annum, compounded half yearly. When I circle like this, also take that paper which they have given to you, circle it, because that's how we work and make sure you improve. Then institution number B said, our interest rate is only 9%, but it's compounded annually. Compounded annually, by the way, what does it mean? Yeah, that learner there on the left, the one in front. Yes, annually, you get it once a year. If it is half yearly, it means you're going to get it twice, 2 times in the year. So Bambo wants to pay back the loan. in 2 years. She was advised to take from institution A. My question to you is, do you agree? Do you agree? Use calculations to support your opinion. All right, so let's show the calculations quickly. Now I've done for you again. Institution number A, can you see that we are on 10% divided by 2? Why? Because institution A, the interest rate is compounded half yearly. Then the time, we are going to say 2 halves times 2 years, which is going to give us 4. Meaning the 4 halves means we have to do 4 calculations. That's why you see in the table here, there's calculation number 1, which is the first half year, second, third, and fourth. Look at all the calculations. Can you see the first half year? Where is the amount? 220,000. Where did you get the 5% from? Yes, we got it from here. How did you get it? We took the 10%, which was for the whole year, we divided it by 2. That's how we got 5%. And then we take 5%, multiplied by the 220,000, that will give us 11,000. Can we work it together? I want to see if we can get correctly. So you press 5, divide by 100, multiply by 220,000. That will give us 11,000. Did you get 11,000? Well done. High five to you. Okay, so what do we do now for that year to end? Can you see we take that 220,000, you add the 11,000, then let's say plus 220,000. Mine says 231,000. Can you confirm with me quickly for the second half year? So we have now, we bring that 231,000 here. That is the one we are going to start with. Why are we doing that? Because we are working with compound interest. What are we working with? Compound interest. So the 231,000, then you repeat the same process. Can we work 231,000 times 5 divided by 100? My calculator says 11,550. I want you to tell the teacher to pause so that you can do the work. It's not just about watching the video. You have to practice because we know we are going to find some of these questions. And remember, practice makes perfect. So what should we do with the 11,550? Yes? No, the learner there at the back. What should you do with the 11,550? Remember, I can see you. So I'm asking you to respond. We add the 11,550 to there. 231,000. That is how we're gonna get 242,000. Imagine doing all this work and they give you a lot of marks. In examination, we are not going to ask you to calculate so many of them. Maybe 2 calculations, like the first half year can be done for you, the second half year can be done for you, then yours is just to do the third half year and the fourth half year. You know, we get a lot of marks, about 5, 6, 7 marks. Trust me, you are going to pass. You will do very well. I know. All right, let's go to institution number B. Can you see the interest rate is 9%? But we did not divide. Why did we not divide? Because it is compounded. That is the word, compounded annually. Meaning we don't have to divide by 2 or by 4 anything. So look at what we've done here. We take the same 220,000. We multiply it by 9%. Can we do it together, learners? 9%, 9 divided by 100 times 220, 1, 2, 3. I got 19,800. Did you get that? Good. Write it down. Write down the 19,800. Okay. So now we have our 19,800. What should we do with it? Yes, that learner there on my right, sitting there by the door. Okay, so we're going to take the 220,000, we add it to the 19,800. I hope you are going to get 239,800. So I'm leaving you to do the last one. I'm giving you 3 minutes. Can you do it quickly? I have done it, so I want you to confirm. So confirm with me. Press start from here. 239,800. 3 minutes. I'm the one checking the watch. So 3 minutes, and then we come back quickly. Welcome, learners. So here's my 3 minutes. Done. So I'm going to take the 9%. I'm going to multiply it by 239,800. And you should have gotten 21,582. What do you get? 21,582. Well done. What should we do with that interest? Good. We must add it to the 239,800. And all in all, you are going to get 261,382 rand. Well done. But now, remember, it was a claim. They were advised in Bamboo to do what? To try and choose option A. So let's check now. Should Bamboo choose option A or not? No. Why? Because institution B, can you see, we are paying 267,000. Okay, let's go to institution A. So this is institution A, 267,411. In institution B, we are going to pay 261,000. Remember, it was a low, we are paying back. So which one should we take? Of course, we have to take B because we will pay less. So it was not a good idea for Bamboo to choose institution A. 1.3. Now we are talking of Refilwe. Maybe it's your friend. Yeah, that's not the one we are talking about here. Refilwe has an investment of R1 million, 1 meter. She plans to use the interest for her trip to yeah, that's for the rich people, you see. So now we are going to Qatar, but this is how the money was invested. 26 months investment period, meaning we are not leaving it there forever. We must go and enjoy in Qatar. How? Can't leave it forever. Then the interest is 6% compounded annually. So my question to you is, show whether the interest earned on the investment is sufficient, meaning is it enough to get 140,000 that she needs to go for the trip? That's where the method come in. So let's do the working. Good. Look at what I've shown on the screen. Remember, the investment is for how many years? 26 months. So it means that we are going to have a year's 12 months. 12 months, that's what? 24. Then that's why you see me having a 2 years and 2 months. So what you do is to try and break it down. Break it down and see how many years and months are there. So look at how you are supposed to do such a question in case you find it. The reason why I brought this question is because sometimes in the examination, they don't give you everything like 3 years or 2 years, like a whole year. No, they give you some years and some months, and then some of us will get stuck. Don't worry, because we are going to do better here. So what we do year one, remember the money was 1 million. So we calculate our 6%, and then we are going to have 60,000. What do? We are going to take that 1 million, we add it to the 60,000. That's how we get 1,060,000. We go to year two, we are going to have the same 1,060,000. We multiply it by 6%, and now we are going to get 63,600. Remember, it's compound interest, so we keep on adding the interest, then we calculate on the amount that is due now, the accumulated amount. So all in all, when we add that interest to the amount in the account, we are now going to be owing or having 1,123,600. Well done. But now, here comes the tricky part. Can you see here what I've written? The last 2 months. It's not a full year. It's only 2 months because we have covered year one and year two. So what do? You divide your interest rate by 12. Why? Because a year is made up of 12 months. Are we good, my learners? So it means that the interest is going to be only 1%. Why 1%? Because you are going to have 0.05 for each month. But remember, the person is leaving the money there for 2 months. So 0.05 plus 0.05. That's how you end up getting 1%. If you don't want to do this way, just work with 0.05 for month 1. Work with 0.05 for month 2. You will still get to the same answer. So that's how I ended up say 1%. 1% of 1,123,600, that is 11,236 rand. So what should we do now? We add My learners, you must ask ma'am or sir to pause the video so that you can see this. You calculate on your own. Again, I'm going to say it. Practice makes perfect. So all in all, how much is the trip? 140,000. So let's go. We have 1,134,836 minus the 1 million which we started with. Oh, so we are going to be having 134,836. Is the money enough for the trip or not? No, it's not. It is insufficient. It's still going to be short of money because the person wanted 140,000. All right. So let's talk, my good people. These are the things I want you to consider. One, if they say the money is invested for 1 year and there's 12%, it can either be annually, half yearly, quarterly, biennially, monthly. Sometimes they can even ask you daily. Oh, you say, yes, daily. Because it's possible. There's nothing impossible in mathematics. Daily, then they compound the interest and then they give to you every month. So when it's annually, you divide it, okay, by 1. That's why you see me writing 1 day. If it is half yearly, remember, I'm saying you are going to have 6%. Where is 6% means half of 12. But you are going to get the interest how many times? 2 times. The mistake some of you learners make is that you take the 6 months, like you divide it by 6. Once you do that, you are working for free. You can pay no name. You can't do that. You divide it by 2 because there are 2 half years. I hope we understand each other. Then quarterly. How many quarters are there in a year? 4. Term 1. Whenever you hear quarterly, think of term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4. That's the whole idea. Okay. Then, if the period of investment changes, the interest added will then be added over the period indicated. So, you see now, you are doing extremely well, but I do not want you to make those minor mistakes in the examination. What will be the difference between simple interest and compound interest again? When we talk of simple interest, we are calculating it on the original. Please remember, we calculate on the original. Compound interest, we calculate on the total amount that is there now. Simple interest, the interest is the same. So you see sometimes in exam, we ask you, explain the difference between simple interest and compound interest. Somebody says, no, simple interest is simple to calculate. How? Which are the definition? You can't say that. So simple interest is calculated based on the original. And then compound interest is calculated on the amount accumulated. So I have something very small, not very short. When you get home, I expect you to do it because in our next lessons, we will try and answer the questions for you. This time, I want you to work with it. And then when you get the answer, you show the teacher. Remember, it is in your hands. Work hard and you're going to smile. Now, we bring this lesson to an end, hoping that you enjoyed it. See you soon.